Hi, everyone. It's Marlene Chisholm, and I am excited to be here. It looks like we're having a little bit of trouble on LinkedIn, and so we're going to wait a few seconds just to um, see if this pops in. If not, I'm going to go ahead, and this records also on YouTube, so I'll post it later um, if we're not here. So let's see. Is anybody able to see this? It says we're having trouble posting to LinkedIn. This may be a problem with LinkedIn. We'll keep trying. We'll wait 30 seconds to see. So if you're here, would you let me know? And if you're not here, I'm just going to go ahead because it's being recorded somewhere else and I can pop it on later. Very disappointing um, if I'm not able to chat with you, but I've made a promise to do this program, so I'm going to do it. So if you're here, let me know. Okay, well, today we're going to be talking about leadership clarity. And this is a topic that I have in every single one of my books, clarity, but not specifically the term I'm calling leadership clarity, which is a distinction. And so even I'm going to share with you my book, Stop Workplace Drama, No Drama Leadership. It is a foundation of the work that I do. And so then this next book, From Conflict to Courage, we're also going to be talking about clarity, but from the perspective of leadership clarity. And so today, here's what I'm going to do. I always give you a little agenda so that you know what's going to be of interest to you and you can follow on. You can share this later. And apparently, LinkedIn may not be working. So this is being shown on YouTube right now. And I'll put the link up later for everybody that signed up. So I want to talk about the difference between clarity and leadership clarity, as I'm describing it in this next book, From Conflict to Courage, why leadership clarity is essential to good decision making, three components of leadership clarity, and what do feelings have to do with it? Because you know what, if you're like me, sometimes you make decisions that you regret because the decision was emotional. You might not have even known it, but you felt very clear, you got angry and you said, okay, this is what I'm doing. And then after you calmed down, you thought, gosh, why didn't I think this through? So this concept of leadership clarity is going to help you. It's going to be a game changer. It's going to help you accurately describe the situation. You're going to articulate the end result. You're going to be able to do that versus getting distracted. And you're going to understand the obstacles, whether they're perceived or whether they're real. So I'm going to check in and just see if there's anybody here. Can anybody can anybody see me on LinkedIn? And so I'm going to look over here. If so, put your name and where you're from, and I will do a shout out. It looks like they may be still having a little bit of problem there. So let's just keep going. So let's talk about the difference between clarity and leadership clarity. So first of all, clarity. This is the concept I've been working with for a really long time. And the concept is that in all drama, there's always a lack of clarity. And how this occurred to me was that I was getting coaching clients that were, very successful. And sometimes the problem seemed really complex. And while talking with them on the phone or even on Zoom, I would be thinking to myself, this is hard. This is more difficult than what I have the skills to help them with. And so I would then calm myself down by saying, you know what? I don't need the answer because they know their business. They're smart. They know their business. All I need to do is help them gain clarity, because if I can help them gain clarity, then I've been a good coach. Let me just check something. I'm getting some messages. Yeah, people are saying they can't log in. I'm so sorry about that. Um, if you can go to YouTube, I'm so sorry. I'm getting this on my watch, so you just have to watch it later. Um, and so I just know that clarity can change any situation. And so, what we want to know is that clarity is all about a lot of things, how decisions are made. I work with a lot of companies where they're changing and decisions are people don't know how decisions are made. That creates a lot of conflict. My role, it's changed. You told me I'm hired for this, but now I'm no longer doing this role. Agreement on priorities. I thought this was a priority. You said that last week and you didn't communicate with me. Um, Misaligned policy with behaviors. We say it's a policy, but we're letting certain people get by with certain things. And so therefore later on, there's litigation, there's a problem because we're not aligned. Or, you know what? I don't know what success looks like. So let's just talk about some of the signs that there's a lack of clarity. And we're just talking clarity here. And then I'm going to give you the concept of leadership clarity to make a distinction. So when employees say to you, that's not my job, when you've asked for some extra help, well, maybe it isn't their job. So there's a lack of clarity. It needs to be in their job description, or they need to shift how they think about their job. And that needs to be talked about. Or you have a disruptive employee. You say, well, I've told them 1,000 times. Well, jokingly, I say that means you've allowed it 999 times. Or the culture doesn't support your decision making. You're in a decision making role, but when you try to, someone above you pulls the rug out. Well, I see that a lot. You're always fixing other people's problems. And so it's hard for you to really be a leader. You're always fixing and doing what you used to do. Or your organization continues to face legal issues. This tells me there's a lack of clarity somewhere. And you can dig around about the policy and what's going on, but the truth is there's something somewhere where there's a lack of clarity. Employees are being blindsided. I am actually seeing a lot of this here lately. I'm seeing an employee thinks they're doing a great job. They're being told they're doing a great job. And then one day they're told they're no longer doing a good job and they're going to have to leave. And there's never really been a real conversation because there's been a lot of yay, yay, cheerleader, you're doing good. But there's been no real difficult conversation about performance. I am getting so many people that are connecting with me right now on LinkedIn saying they can't get in. If you're in, would you please let me know you're here? I will post this later, and I'll post it in the chat so that you'll be able to watch the video. And I'm really sorry. I don't know what's happened technically, but if you're here, let me know. Okay. And so that's how we know that there's a lack of clarity, is all these different signs. So here's an interesting fact, and it came a while back. It was a 2016 from Talent Magazine. Only half of employees strongly agree that they understand what's expected of them at work. And managers were equally at a loss to explain their own jobs. So that means a lot of us don't really know if we're being successful or not. Well, that creates a lot of confusion. That creates a lot of distress. So we don't need to have that. We just need leadership clarity. So I'm going to be introducing this in my new book in 2022, From Conflict to Courage. And just a little secret, it's already available for pre-orders. I know it's too early to do that, but I wanted to let you know just in case you think I want to read this book, but I'm not going to think of it when it happens, which is going to be May of 2022. So it is. You can go on Amazon, put in Marlene Chisholm From Conflict to Courage, and you can go ahead and reserve yours now if you want it. But I want to share with you the 3 components of leadership clarity. And this is leadership clarity, because if you get this, you'll be able to accurately describe a situation. You'll be able to accurately identify the perceived and real obstacles, and you'll actually be able to describe your end result. Because a lot of times when I'm working with people in a consulting capacity, they can't do any of those things. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little banner, a little brand banner that I just popped in here so that you could have a visual. And this is what the visual that I use for understanding the situation, the end result, and the obstacle. This is in every single book. I talk about getting to the island being the end result. The little guy in the rowboat can be you, can be your team, but it's your current situation, accurately describing and telling the truth about the current situation. And then finally, the obstacle, either perceived or real, we've got the shark. So I call this the language of the island, and this is the visual, this is the mental model that I use to talk about leadership clarity. I hope that helps you to see that visual. There's going to be plenty of that in the new book. So let's talk about why leadership clarity is so important. You're going to offer the wrong solution if you can't accurately describe the current situation. Because sometimes people don't know what their real situation is. They're emotional and they don't understand the facts. And if you don't know your end result, you cannot guide other people there. You're just putting out fires. So you have to know those 2 points of distinction. And if you don't understand the obstacles, you can't deal with the resistance and you can't plan around the real obstacles. You just won't be ready because you're denying that they exist. And the truth is, if they exist in someone's mind, they exist. So you need to understand that. And I'm talking a lot in this book about releasing resistance. I've done a video on that before. And so, if you understand the obstacles and you can face those, then you can deal with them. But if you don't think there are any problems, you're going to struggle. So I'm going to give you, an example. Just ask a complaining person. Let's take this from you're a leader, you're trying to coach an employee, and they're complaining, and you ask them what they want. Many times they can't articulate it. Well, let me tell you what happened last week. But let me tell you what Kim did. Let me tell you why that's not fair. And they're still not getting to the island. They're only talking about the shark. And so when you understand these concepts and you can guide other people to their end result, you can coach them, or you can avoid distractions about, well, listen to what everybody's saying to you, or this is why this isn't fair. May not be, but that's a distraction for now. The question is, what do you want? Same thing as leaders, whether you're at the top level with strategic decisions or whether you're in the middle level trying to get people to implement, you have to understand the desired end result. And so, if you understand the obstacles, you can plan around the resistance. So I'm going to give you an example. We make it personal. And this is where we lack this leadership clarity. We say things like they don't care, or they're not working well together, or we need to have a workshop because there's drama. Or, I've seen this, what I call moving the chess pieces around. These folks don't get along, so it's really not about my leadership. I'm just going to move this person to a different department. And sometimes that works. You have to work with the environment sometimes, but a lot of times it's really due to a lack of clarity or a lack of leadership clarity. You can't accurately describe the situation and why this is happening, and how long it's been happening. And so once you understand these 3 points of attraction, you can start to unravel what's going on. And these things create a lot of emotion within us. So the question is, what do feelings have to do with it? Well, we have to understand the role of feelings in our leadership decision making. There's a place for feelings, but we need to make distinctions. So I want you to think about this. I've done a lot of work around anger and anger management. I have one on LinkedIn. You can go look for it on LinkedIn Learning. They're now calling these LinkedIn Lives office hours to make that distinction. But LinkedIn Learning, I've done a program on anger management. And this is what I say about anger. There's a place for feelings and emotions, but feelings aren't the truth. Feelings are just a signal, and we have to learn how to interpret our emotions and our feelings, which I use those words interchangeably. And actually, emotions are about what happens in your body when you have certain thoughts and feelings. So I want you to think about anger and learn how to interpret anger as a strong emotion. It's energy that wants to go somewhere. It doesn't mean that someone's wrong or that you have a right to make a drastic decision, but it does mean that you need more clarity, or it does mean that you need to set a boundary. You've let something go on for too long. Or it does mean it's really time for a difficult conversation, but you need to wait till you're centered. Or it means you need to tell the truth about something. You've been denying that there's a problem, and now your body has these emotions and feelings, and it's telling you it's time to fix this. There's this circular dance between fact and feeling, and I want to share a kind of a meme, a message, something that I've been saying for a long time. It's helped a lot of people. There's a lot of people that tell me they live by this. Knowing your feelings won't change the facts. Knowing your feelings won't change the facts, but knowing the facts can change your feelings. And when you change your feelings, you change your experience. And when you change your experience, you change your results. So it's all very circular. But if you start with the idea that knowing my feelings will not change the facts, when I know all the facts, it might change my feelings. Then when I change my feelings, I start to change my experience of the situation. And when I change that experience, it shifts my identity of how I handle it. And then it changes the results. So that's how you use anger. That's how you use emotions. What we do instead, we go, I'm furious, they're getting fired. I'm furious, I'm ending a relationship. This was wrong. They've done it for the 15th time. But the truth is, you've never had a conversation. So anger is your friend. It's there to tell you something is off, but you have to work with your prefrontal cortex, your brain, on how you interpret those kinds of of emotions and feelings. So next month, I'm going to be talking about anger. And there's a lot of anger in our world right now. I used to think that I struggled with anger. I said I had an anger problem. But now I tell myself and other people, you don't have an anger problem. You don't have an anger problem. You have an awareness problem. And when you become more aware, you see it before it takes you over. So we're going to be talking about how to minimize anger and maximize capacity. So the chat is going to be open. And today, I'm sorry that this didn't come off on LinkedIn today, but we can share it. We can talk about it as you watch this today. We can talk about it. We can blow LinkedIn up with the message. And so please share this video on your LinkedIn screen to anyone that didn't get a chance to see this, okay? So I will see you next month, and I believe it's October 12th, where we talk about anger, how to minimize anger and maximize capacity. And thank you for watching, and see you next week.